So, welcome to Microsoft Flight. This is a free-to-play game, a free-to-play flight simulator which was developed by Microsoft to replace their Flight Simulator series. But unfortunately it didn't do so well as they hoped. It was cancelled before it really took off. No pun intended. There was a good pun though. It was cancelled before it really got off the ground. I keep on doing it. And as such, a lot of the features are either not implemented or only kind of semi-implemented, which is a great shame because it had a lot of promise. It looked fairly nice. The missions were quite fun. There were a few different fun features that you could take advantage of. Yeah, it's a huge shame that it was cancelled, but I understand why. It is unfortunately a deeply flawed game as well. So I don't know if I'm going to upload a lot of videos of Flight. It's a game that I tend to play on and off, more off than on. But it's a good introduction to flight simulators, and what runway do I want to think of? Runway 50. It's a very good introduction to flight simulators. A, because it's free. B, because it's designed to be accessible to people who don't know what they're doing, like me. And C, because it loads so quickly. I don't know what it is about flight simulators, but they all seem to load really damn slowly. So I'm just going to take an aircraft up for a quick spin just to show a little bit of the game off in a short introduction video. I am not a pilot, and I've never been a flight simulator enthusiast. When I was a teenager, I used to play Microsoft Flight Simulator 95 a little bit, but I never kind of got into it, and until now that was the only flight simulator I'd played. So I come to this kind of as an amateur who's picked up some stuff over the years but doesn't really know what he's doing. So bear that in mind whenever I try to explain anything. One thing that the game does to help make things accessible, apart from there being button shortcuts to do everything without having to know what you're doing, is it offers you checklists, so that if you do want to learn what you're doing, you can go through the checklists and it'll tell you what to do. So that's the takeoff checklist, and it'll walk you through it on the instrument panel. It can even automate it if you wanted to. But I'm just going to throttle up and take off. And this is the RV6, which is a premium aircraft. It's very powerful, it's very nimble, which is why I'm using it. The base aircraft that come with the game, the free-to-play version, are a light seaplane, which kind of flies like an SUV. I imagine an SUV would fly if it had wings. And a biplane, a fun little war-era biplane, which is very kind of nimble as well. But this has a lot of power. It can be used for aerobatics, it can be used to travel more quickly than the other aircraft. So what I'm going to do is just fly a little bit along the coast here. I think this is the island of Maui, into the hills. Now, I'm not going to land because landing takes precision, patience, skill, things like that, which I don't exactly have huge amounts of. Landing is always interesting when I'm at the controls, but I can kind of manage. I can manage level flight. It's within my capabilities, and certainly when you're doing something interesting like exploring a hill valley, you can just do what you want. You don't need to worry about flying with rules or anything. You can pretty much just do whatever. So, what am I doing here? So right now I'm just reducing the power because I don't want to climb much more. One concept I did learn, and I'm again not really qualified to explain, is in general pitch of the aircraft is used to control speed, and throttle is used to control altitude, which is maybe counterintuitive, but I believe that is the general idea. I mean, the two are always related, you can't have one without the other, but in general you would throttle down to reduce altitude and then pitch down to increase the speed, rather than the opposite way around. I'll quickly explain instruments, because they look really scary, but they're not. Big instrument panel, pretty much all of it is entirely irrelevant because there's this cheat display up here. But you can use the instruments, and the important ones are these 6 right here. Airspeed, turn coordinator, which helps you give the right amount of rudder to match the amount of roll that you're doing, so you can turn smoothly through the air. Those little notches there are the 2-minute turn indicators, so if you roll your aircraft to those notches and then balance the rudder in the little black ball, then it'll take you 2 minutes to turn 360 degrees, I believe. Compass, vertical speed, you can see I'm climbing at over 900 feet per minute right now, which I should probably do something about. Altimeter, how high I am, and that's above sea level. And I think this is called an attitude indicator, I could be wrong about that, but or artificial horizon or something, but it shows me if my plane is pitched up or down relative to the horizon, as the wings, the white line is the horizon, and also whether it's rolling at all, so that white line in between those 2 red notches indicates that the plane is in level flight. So there's the only 6 instruments I need to worry about, and all the others are explained as needed by the checklist system. These are 2 navigation instruments which can be tuned in using the radio stack, but you don't need to use them. That's a G meter when you're doing aerobatics. If you want to know how many Gs you're pulling, that'll tell you. And all this stuff is basically not necessary. I mean, you can use these if you want to, but these are basically not functional. Doesn't matter. As I said, development of the game was unfortunately cancelled very recently, and a bunch of features just were never implemented. So anyway, let me stop talking and fly down into this valley here on the left. In fact, maybe I'll go down there. It is dawn, so it'll be a little bit tricky to see some of this stuff. But yeah, so I'm throttling back and I'm pitching the nose down, so that I don't go screaming into an incredibly fast dive. I can't quite tell what the terrain does here. I think I'm going to need to fly over this ridge. But you'll see from a distance that the scenery for Hawaii looks really good in places. Like impressively good. The default free-to-play package just comes with the big island of Hawaii, which this is Maui. Oh, there's an error cache. That's one of the things you can collect to prove that you're a proper gamer, and this is a proper game. Yeah, the free version just comes with the big island of Hawaii, which is nice, but I think Maui is possibly one of the better-looking islands in the scenery pack. And part of the appeal of a game like this to me is that it's real-world locations. So I've never been to Hawaii, I may never go to Hawaii, but this is cool because I can fly from a real airfield over real terrain, just nose down, power back and dive into this valley, pick up speed as I go. Look at that, 150 knots. I think the airframe isn't rated much above 190, so I don't want to go too fast. Nothing bad will happen, that's not implemented, but still. What was I saying? Yeah, it's cool to fly over real places. That's a lot of the appeal of the game for me. And, I mean, I don't know how high fidelity the modelling is. One assumes that every tree was not individually placed by hand according to a detailed map, but a lot of the stuff is well done. And I did find myself, when I was doing some of the game's missions and jobs, using sectional charts from Google or Google Maps to plan my landings and approaches, to use my visual flight rules, navigation techniques, which are almost non-existent because, as I said, I'm not a flight sim enthusiast. But it's been a lot of fun, and although I have a lot of criticisms I would level at the game, some of which are not really fair because it was never finished. I think it was unfortunately released way too early, without nearly enough features. While there are a lot of criticisms I could level at the game, it is still a lot of fun. And as it's free, well, not this part isn't free, but as you do get a fair bit of content for free. There's no reason not to try it out if you want to give a flight simulator a go. And you can control it with the keyboard and the mouse as well. I'm using a HOTAS joystick, a Thrustmaster HOTAS 2 or something, which sounds very sexual. But yes, it's a hands-on throttle and stick, so it has a throttle in the left hand and a stick in the right hand and lots of buttons. And I don't have rudder pedals, but I do have a rudder slider, so it gives me a little bit of extra precision over using the mouse or the keyboard. But you can use the mouse and keyboard. And you can also fly from external views, if you want to. And I'm going to crash into this mountain unless I turn around it. So this is maybe not the best choice of time of day, but oh, there's another aero cache. Wow. Maybe not the best choice of time of day because it's so dark in this valley that I can't actually see anything. But at least it's dramatic, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to need to climb to get out of this valley. And you see, every time I input the controls, my speed falls, so it's 120 knots. I'm throttling up, I'm going to put the propeller RPM up to maximum, and I'm going to have to start climbing towards that notch on the right there. You can see my speed is dropping off already. 110 knots, it was 130 a little while ago. 99, 90, 88. This is why I'm using a powerful aircraft, 80. This thing will stall at about 55 knots, so I need to get out of the valley without stalling, and with enough power to keep climbing over this ridge. See, I'm just about holding steady at 70, not pulling back on the stick too much. It's going to be a bit tight, but I think I'm going to do it. And that aero cache is taunting me. 60 knots. It's going to be close. So, okay, let's stop giving the input to the stick and just see if we can thread our way through here. 55. Okay, I'm going to put my flaps out, which will also reduce my airspeed, but it will increase my lift. I don't know if I'm pressing the flap button the right way or if that was... I may have just been trying to put them in. Okay, but I'm picking up speed again, so I should be okay. Phew, okay. And that was me taking my hand off the stick for a second. Let me just check my flaps. I could look out and see that. Yeah, okay, so my flaps are out. I'll pull them in. You can see them going in on the wing there. And now I'll pick up speed again because I'm at maximum power. I'm in reasonably level flight. You can see that on the attitude indicator, which may not be called an attitude indicator, but I'm calling it that anyway, damn it. And now I'll just throttle back, do a stupid maneuver, and fly straight down this this big cliff. Okay, let's throttle up, exceed the advised airspeed, and pull straight back. Invert. That's what we just flew down. And this is the part where I don't crash into the cliff. So this is a pretty capable plane for aerobatics. And one of the missions in the game actually teaches you to do aerobatic tricks, which is pretty cool. Whoa, that was not what I meant to do. Whoopsie-daisy. And there are a lot of nice touches of detail in the game as well. Like you'll see the sun shining on imperfections in the plastic canopy there. That's a nice touch. So this is Microsoft Flight. It is a free game with lots of kind of granular add-ons, which unfortunately are mostly overpriced, but can provide a lot of fun. The big island, the adventure pack, which includes the other islands of Hawaii and the aircraft that I'm flying now, is, I think, a pretty good buy if you enjoy the game. But as I said, unfortunately it was cancelled, so this is all it will ever be, unless they open it up to modding, which would be nice. That's pretty, hey? But yes, if you have any interest in a flight simulator, this is a great place to start. It's very accessible, it's very easy, you can control it with whatever you want, and it has some missions and tutorials and stuff that you can have fun with. So, this is Microsoft Flight. I will probably upload a few videos, maybe of missions, maybe of some of my hilarious landings, and maybe I'll explain a little bit about what little I know about flying in the process, and then somebody can correct me in the comments and I'll get educated. But yeah, thanks for watching.